More than 1 million photographs of Israel captured long before digital cameras, cell phones, or computers. A pictorial history of the Holy Land has been documented by a Jewish organization that also helped to develop Israel. Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell takes a look at this ongoing effort to chronicle the story of the Jewish state.
This may look like a storage room full of old files, although in reality, it's a treasure trove providing a pictorial history of Israel.
We're at the heart of the archive, at the photo archive. This is the place where we can find printed photographs taken from early 20th century and all the way till the end of the printed material era.
Decades before the Jewish state's birth, Keren Kayemet L'Israel Jewish National Fund, or KKL-JNF, was breaking ground.
KKL-JNF is an organization that was established 120 years ago, aimed at purchasing land in Eretz Israel, right here in Israel, and also developing it, which means preparing the land after purchasing it for housing, building new communities, helping people get here so they can fully establish and inhabit these homes.
Efrat Sinai, head of KKL-JNF Photo Archive, says cameras have continued snapping history since the beginning.
KKL-JNF used to send photographers to different corners all over Israel so they can capture what is going on, the places that are being built and established, the faces of the pioneers, all that spirit of creating something new. And that's what created this unique and very important collection.
One of Sinai's favorites is this unique pose of David Ben-Gurion, Israel's first prime minister.
It's not something that we're used to seeing him with cool sunglasses. There's another picture, which I really like. It's David Ben-Gurion on the day of the Declaration of Independence, while he's still working out the draft of that declaration.
And a year later, on Israel's first birthday.
These are photographs from the very first year of the celebration in 1949. As you can see, bringing the Torah books. And what I wanted to show you was the military parades that were taking place in the big cities. We can see how everyone used to go out to the balconies and watch the parade. And you can also see the streets, the familiar streets of Jerusalem. This is King George Street, for example, taken in 1950.
And capturing Independence Day celebrations, picnics, and barbecues that go back decades. In addition to acquiring land, KKL-JNF built reservoirs, rehabbed rivers, prepared for housing, and is probably best known for planting trees.
Here we have photographs taken in Martyrs Forest. This is a forest that was planted in the early 1950s. It has 6 million trees planted in to commemorate the 6 million Jews who perished in the Holocaust.
According to Sinai, it's estimated there were around 14,000 trees here when the Ottoman Turkish Empire ended more than 100 years ago.
Starting 1908, we started trying to plant trees here. And nowadays, we're talking about over 240 million trees planted all over Israel.
There's also historic Jerusalem, a photo overlooking the city from the Mount of Olives, the distribution of pasteurized milk to babies, the railway station from 1927, and the Western Wall in 1941, as well as photographs of Tiberias on the Sea of Galilee. Pioneers building agricultural communities called kibbutzim and moshevim, and glass plate negatives used before the gelatin kind.
So this was taken in 1924, and this is Tel Aviv. You can see the sand. So it really is a city that rose from the sands.
Throughout each year, KKL-JNF shares its historical highlights at exhibitions like this one in Jerusalem.
We're displaying photographs 2.5 meters wide, historical photographs of Jerusalem that were colorized.
KKL-JNF says many times when we look back at black and white photos, we tend to think the past was without color. But what they've done in this exhibit is use innovative colorization technology, along with research into the culture and fashion of the time, to color the photos and breathe new life into history. An exhibition also took place recently at the International Expo in Dubai. Many of the photos are now digitized, and the archive can be viewed online in Hebrew and soon will be available in English. It currently has more than 1 million photos, and like the state itself, is still growing. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
When you see these old photos, you get the narrative of the modern state of Israel. And that narrative goes directly against all the propaganda coming out of the Palestinian Authority that somehow the Jews took the land. What happened is the Jews bought the land from the Turks, from the Ottomans. The Arabs that were living there were actually subservient, and they didn't own the property. The Ottomans did. And so the Jews come in and they buy the land, and then they start to build. And boy, did they ever build. All you have to do is look at the old photos of Tel Aviv and then any kind of modern photo of Tel Aviv, and you understand the transformation. Truly miraculous. Can a nation be born in a day? Well, yes, that day was in May 1948. But it took a lot of effort over many decades to build the modern state of Israel. And congratulations to them, and congratulations to those who are keeping the records and the photos to prove the